Good morning and welcome to our webinar this morning on NetSuite planning and budgeting. I'd like to thank you all for coming along and attending us this morning. Today, my name is Callum McLeish. I am the Sales and Marketing Manager at Nolan Business Solutions. We've got Maddie Abbas, who's the Account Executive at NetSuite Planning and Budgeting. Morning, Maddie.
Morning.
Good morning. Maddie will be doing the demo for us today of the NetSuite Planning Budgeting tool that we're looking to show you. And I've also got Colin Smith with us, who's our Technical Director at Nolan Business Solutions. Morning, Colin.
Morning, Campbell. Morning, everybody.
Morning. Colin will be coming on at the end to speak about in a bit more detail about how Nolan's have been working alongside NetSuite Planning Budgeting to create a tool that integrates along with NetSuite Planning Budgeting and Microsoft Dynamics GP. So just to talk about in more detail about how that works, because this platform can be used across a number of different solutions and systems. So today's webinar is going to continue. We've got it until 12 p.m. That's just just in case we overrun or anything, but we'll probably be off before then. So Marty's going to look at the key features and benefits of the solution of NetSuite Planning Budgeting. As I've already mentioned, it is available for both Microsoft Dynamics GP, and Colin will go into some detail about that at the end, and also for NetSuite users. We do have the chat feature within the GoToWebinar pane, right at the foot actually. So if you want to expand that, you can please feel free to ask any questions throughout using that. I'll be the moderator, as it were, and I can let Maddie know if anything comes through in real time, or if you want to leave it till the end, that's absolutely fine as well. But just to let you know that feature is there. This session is being recorded, so we will be sending out a recording of the session afterwards, so you will have the audio and the video for that as well. So we'll send that out to all the attendees after this. So Maddie, I'm just going to pass over presenter rights to you, and you can go ahead with your demo.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Bear with me. So starting off, good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for attending today's session. My name is Marty Bass, and I am the Account Executive here at NetSuite Planning Budgeting. So quick intros there. Just as a note for today's session, this is a safe harbor statement to state that everything that you are seeing today is currently within NetSuite Planning and Budgeting, and we won't be talking about future updates or anything else that's happening in the near future, but we can talk around this if this is of interest on a one-by-one basis. So today's agenda is, we've already done the introductions. We're going to talk about the current state of FP&A. What is NetSuite Planning and Budgeting? Why NetSuite Planning and Budgeting? We'll jump from there into the demonstration, and we also have a couple of our customer success stories, as well as the next steps in Q&A at the end. Of course, this is an interactive session, so if you do have any questions, please feel free to pop them into the chat, and Campbell will make sure to keep us informed as and when they come through. So the current state of finance and operational planning. So as you can see at the bottom here, all of this information is independently sourced from both Ventana Research and KPMG. But this slide is known as the sad facts, and you'll soon understand why. So 70% of companies still use spreadsheets across their planning and forecasting processes. Working in this industry for roughly 5 years now, I've actually seen it's closer to 95%. 62% of companies are buried in basic duties with little time for more analytical work. And you might start seeing a theme within this slide. So 50% of most finance organizations' time is spent on operational processes. 30% of most finance's time is spent on financial reporting and control. And then finally, only 20% of most finance organizations' time is spent on adding value by improving the financial performance. So when speaking to some of our prospects and customers, they've actually said that the last part of this slide is closer to 5 or 10%, if that. Does this Does this stand true for anyone on the call? Feel free to put it into the channel or to the chat box. Another thing that we have noticed is during the year of 2020, more than, sorry about that, email still coming through. One thing that we have noticed in the year of 2020 is that 100% of organizations that I'm speaking to are doing more what-if scenarios and more robust forecasts than they ever have before due to the time frame that we're in. Now, Excel is okay, but what we will tend to find with Excel is that there's multiple budgets and multiple final versions from different people, from different departments that we will have to consolidate all together. And with that, Excel you might get this pop up where Excel has stopped working. You might even see this where it's not responding, or even worse, it may burn down altogether. Now, NetSuite Planning and Budgeting solves these spreadsheet challenges by allowing you to automate the data within NetSuite Planning and Budgeting itself. There's a collaboration part of it, so everyone who has a license can automatically upload the data, so therefore you're not having to manually pull the data from different departments and groups and have to copy and paste everything. You can visualize the data in dynamic dashboards to give both yourself and your C-level team much more dynamic dashboards. You're able to analyze the data in a much more efficient way, which allows you to manage your day-to-day work in a much more easy and efficient way also, which makes for very happy people. So what is NetSuite Planning and Budgeting? So we use this slide quite a lot. It's the 1980s. I'm sure it stands out for quite a lot of people. I'm born in April 89, so I've only got about 8 months to hold to the 80s myself. But what stands out to me here more than anything else is ABBA. I did have a Super Nintendo when I was a kid. Back to the Future is one of my favorite movies, so the DeLorean definitely stands out to me. But one thing that I'm sure everyone on this call has probably had at some point in their life is the Rubik's Cube that you can see on the top of the page. Now, we use the Rubik's Cube to really give a view of how you're able to slice and dice your data the same way that you're able to slice and dice the colors within the Rubik's Cube to make sure that everything fits correctly. Another tool from the 80s is Hyperion, if anyone's heard of it. So Hyperion is, and has been always the EPM, Enterprise Performance Management, market-leading solution, which sits on top of Essbase, which stands for the Extended Spreadsheet Database. This is basically the tool in between Hyperion and the Cube technology in the background, which allows you to slice and dice your data across industries, verticals, currencies, you name it. You're able to quite easily slice and dice the data to suit your needs for your organization. So what is Hyperion for those who don't know? In March 1st, 2007, Oracle bought Hyperion for $3.3 billion, immediately became the leader in EPM solutions, so Enterprise Performance Management Solutions. And the reason why Oracle bought them was a way to land and expand on SAP's current customers, who they knew SAP had was it a solution for ERP, but nothing around the financial planning space, which is one of the reasons why they were able to land and expand so easily. Now, this is another independent report that's done by the Oracle Customer Value Index. So with this, what we're seeing from our customers after a year of using our solution is that they are spending 38% less time in the planning process, doing more scenarios, best case, worst case, mid case, and so on. 32% less time in creating the management reports, and overall a 12% increase in forecasting accuracy. So reducing all of those static numbers and being able to produce more proactive plans. So why NetSuite Planning Budgeting? Why are you here today? So these are some of our customers to date, some of our larger sized customers. So I'm sure there's at least one or two that stand out to you, if not many. HSBC, Santander, Unilever, Coca-Cola, Hilton Worldwide, you name it, there are definitely at least a logo or two in here that should stand out to a lot of people on the call today. Now, NetSuite Planning Budgeting was launched back in 2017 within NetSuite after we were acquired by Oracle in 2016. And since NSPB's inception, we've got more than 850 customers across 35 different industries, across more than 40 countries, and more than 12,000 users. Now this slide is from earlier this year, so it's actually moved up a little bit. We're closer to 1,000 customers now with closer to 15,000 users. And in the last 12 months, these are some of our latest customers. So some of these may stand out to you. For instance, MessageBird is the instant messaging platform that's used across all of Uber. So when you're communicating with your driver or Uber head office, this is the instant messaging platform that you're using within Uber's application. On top of that, we do scale with organizations. So another larger or two larger organizations, Schneider Electric and Virgin Red. So in terms of Schneider Electric, we are used for their solar panel and wind turbine energy unit. So rather than working with the whole organization, we've landed in a specific division of Schneider Electric and expanded as and when they saw that they needed to scale. And with Virgin Red, this is the Virgin memberships side of the company. So anything to do with Virgin Atlantic, Virgin Airways, Virgin Media, Virgin Trains, if you are a member of any of those sides of Virgin, then it will go through Virgin Red, and they are planning with NetSuite Planning and Budgeting at present. So what are the top 4 differentiators that set us apart, that make us the market-leading solution within this area? Well, it's our integration. So not only with the likes of Microsoft Dynamics GP, but also we are native to NetSuite and have an open source integrator with other solutions as well. So if there were any additional systems like HR or so on, we would be able to integrate with those systems for you. As mentioned earlier, we are scalable, so we scale with organizations as and when that they see fit to do so. So if you're a small organization at present, we can start small with a smaller number of users, and we can expand as and when your business is growing with you. Or if you're a large business, we can start within a specific department and grow with your organization and move to different departments as and when you see fit. The flexibility of the tool, so we're able to give you very flexible dynamic drivers, dashboards, and ways to plan and route against your current budget, as well as giving you multiple budgets and forecasts to plan around. And finally, there's the reporting element. The reporting element is our Microsoft Office integration. So we integrate with not only Excel, but also PowerPoint and Word as well. So giving you that flexibility in the sense of the reporting aspect. Sorry, I'm getting a lot of emails today. Giving you a lot of flexibility within the reporting aspect to be able to pull data directly from the web straight into Excel or PowerPoint for those management board packs that you're creating, and that you're all able to automatically refresh on a month-by-month basis. So what's in the box with NetSuite Planning and Budgeting? So it includes operational expense planning and reporting, workforce planning, revenue project planning, CapEx, cash flow forecasting, predictive forecasting, top-down and bottom-up planning, multiple versions and scenarios, flexible user-owned business rules, and modeling, analysis, and what-if scenarios. So we are a NetSuite product, so we do initially integrate with NetSuite via safe searches, but we're also able to integrate with a multitude of other open source products, like the integration that we have with Microsoft GP, which have specifically been created between ourselves and Nolan Business Solutions. On top of that, we've, as mentioned earlier, we've got SmartView, which is our integration to Microsoft Office, which is run off of Essbase, which I mentioned earlier, which is the world's most powerful reporting engine. So again, that cube technology that's allowing you to slice and dice your data across all of the different areas that you may be reporting against. Okay. And this is just how you can imagine it really from our perspective. So if you think of NetSuite planning and budgeting as your web interface on the top, you've got Essbase in the middle sitting in the background, so that's your cube technology allowing you to slice and dice your data, very similar to the Rubik's Cube as mentioned earlier. Apologies, I'm getting a lot of emails today. We've got that cube technology sitting in the background, which then sits on top of SmartView, which again is our integration with all of Microsoft Office products. Let's jump into the demonstration. So for those who don't know, this is NetSuite. We have a direct integration from NetSuite, which would be very similar to your Microsoft Great Plains. We've got planning and budgeting button here, and it worked out very similarly within Microsoft GP. Moving forward, don't want to close that down just yet. So this is the look and feel of NetSuite planning and budgeting. This is the look and feel of NetSuite planning and budgeting. This is our home screen, so you can see that I'm logged in as an administrator. You can see that we've got an announcement that's been left here from our CFO. We can have as many announcements on this panel as we want, but we can also click onto them right here. So if we flip this over, you can see that we've got a forecast time frame. Forecasting period starts from September 2018 to December 2019. That's just when the data has been logged in for this system. Historical actual data is loaded from January 2016 to August 2018. Now, if we go back, we can also see that we've got a recents and a favorites tab. So if we look into the recents tab, we can see that we looked into the income statement yesterday and what if analysis yesterday. You can see that it's all date and time stamped, and it will have my administrator login details attached to it. So there's a complete and full audit trail across this solution. So if any changes are made at any point in any part of the solution, you'll definitely know exactly who it is that's made said changes and what the area of interest was, what they've made in the background. If we were to push one of these little star buttons, this would automatically put this into our favorites, which just means that you've got quick and easy access to be able to click into specific reports without having to click into one of the cards and then maybe a separate card underneath, as some of them do have multiple cards, as you can see here. So starting off today's session, what I wanted to do was jump into a quick what-if scenario. So being very key for today's modern day and age, as mentioned, I've got dozens of customers who are using this what-if scenario piece on a daily basis, and pretty much all of the companies that I'm speaking to, this is one of the key features that they want to see. So let's start with this. So as you can see here, we've got our initial base forecast, and we've got a what-if scenario 1 that I've created previously, and then we've got a what-if scenario 2, 3, 4, 5. We can extend this to as many what-if scenarios as you want. They're just as easy to delete as they are to create, but based on this, you can see that we've got all of our dynamic dashboards at the top to give you visual views of exactly what we're looking at and what we're trying to achieve. So we've got our what-if scenario with net income, margins, and sensitivity analysis. All of these can be expanded, by the way, so don't worry if you feel like you're not seeing a lot of the data here. You can just quite quickly push the little button on the side and expand it. so you can see in full detail exactly what's here. Now on top of this, you may also notice all of the other columns. These are all of our variance reports based off of the what-if scenarios. Okay, so our what-if scenario 1 is showing for a downturn within the year, and this being our forecast is showing our sort of upturn, as it were, or what we're originally projecting. We can see the numbers. In fact, no, the what-if scenario 1 is an upturn rather than a downturn. So let's do a downturn in this respect then. So all we do is right-click on what-if scenario 2 and then execute what-if scenario. So these are all of the drivers that we're working off of. So based on average item costs, overhead costs, and units sold. This is based on this solution being this demo environment being specifically a wholesale IT hardware vendor, so selling products like monitors and iPads and so on. Just to give you a bit of context in the background. Again, we do work with multiple different industries, so we can set this up specifically to yours. So if we start off with putting a minus 0.2, so minus 20%, minus 0.3, and maybe even further at the back end due to to units sold. Let's go minus 0.5. As the solution will allow you to produce multiple budgets and forecasts, what we're doing is we're choosing the scenario that we're pulling this from. So I've got a base forecast here that I'm clicking into, push OK, and that's where we're producing the what-if scenario from. The forecast that we've already been working on in the background, and we're creating a what-if scenario based off of decreasing the numbers from this forecast. We push the launch button, and you can see that it's just processing in the background. And quite quickly you can see that we've already got a new what-if scenario within our dashboards. We've got a new line dropping down quite substantially in comparison to what the other lines are showing. We can see that we've got all of our numbers here, which is a big drop down from the initial numbers that we've got in front of us. So you can see that the what-if scenario not only has worked, but it's given us quite dynamic and visual data to show us exactly where the downturn will be based on the what-if details on the side: total sales, cost of sales, gross profit, and so on. Right. And of course, we can quite quickly delete this as well. If we right-click against it, we can just push the clear what-if scenario. Maybe this is too low a downturn. Maybe we're looking at different numbers altogether. But if we want to just clear this off, all we do is right-click, clear, and then push the launch button. And just as quickly as the what-if scenario was made, we have now deleted it just the same way. Campbell, just before I move on, were there any questions on the what-if scenario piece? Might
Sorry,
still be
on no, I was unmuting myself. There's nothing that's come through that I can see at the moment in time.
No, perfect. Just double checking before we do move on. So going back to our home screen. I've also opened up the secondary one just because this is my personal account. This is my shared account with one of my team, but one of the reasons why I wanted to jump into this one was you may notice that we've got 3 dots at the top. These are our dynamic KPI infolets, which are basically mini intuitive dashboards. So I just wanted to be able to give you a quick view of this before jumping back into my personal solution. So as you can see, very, very dynamic, very quick and visually stimulating. As you can see, we can hover over the numbers. We can also see exactly what our actual to forecast is on our total year EBITDA. just to make you aware, we have a range of customers who are using this, but in a much more streamlined fashion, in the sense that they have anywhere between 5 and 8 tabs that are just KPI info alerts. And they're not just based on KPIs, they are based on other operational data and other factors of the organization. They can be created by a drag and drop editor, so it's specific to what you want to see as a customer. But what you'll also notice is that there's an arrow against each of these. So for instance, if we're looking at sales volume, forecast versus actual, based on 2020, we are looking down this year, actual to forecast. But we can also expand even further. So this is total year sales in dollars. But if we expand even further, we can now see total year actual sales by rep. This can be viewed against by product, by subsidiary, by department, by country, to see what, instead of sales volume, you may want to see what expenses are coming out, what exactly is making a deficit in the organization rather than an increase in the organization, as it were. But just based on this, for instance, we can also hover over and see that, for instance, Scott Torman is our leader within this area, bringing in 5.7 million as a whole, and Edwin's slowly catching up with 5.26 million. So we're able to see the dynamic view of all of these KPI info alerts as they were in the background, and they will be automatically updated as and when you see fit. So it could be automated, it could be set on a daily basis. If you want if you want it a little bit less streamlined, we could do it on a weekly basis. It just really depends on when you want the data to be pushed into NetSuite planning and budgeting. We've also got a secondary info alert tab here as well. Again, just giving you a bit more view and scope of what we can look at. So total expenses, those are the overall margins on a percentage basis based on our profits, gross profit, and ops profit as well. Okay, right, so going back into my other page, let's go into our forecast. So the forecast is based on the information that we're pulling in. We've obviously got CapEx, OpEx, working capital, and so on. Advertising, travel expenses, depending on what you're actually looking at or reporting against from an organizational standpoint. But for the most part, let's go into our sales and COGS, where a lot of our forecasting is actually taking place. So as you can see here, as mentioned earlier, we're looking at this from a pre-populated version of NetSuite planning and budgeting, with the data based on an IT product reseller, so selling anything from monitors, cables, to iPads, to desktops, and so on and so forth. And starting off, we can see that there's quite a lot here already. We've got our baseline prices for all of the different products, so setting a monetary value for what we want to sell the product at. We may have an alternate price range. Now, alternate one, you can see is quite a big drop off. If we look at the iPad Pro, for instance, from 500 to 375. So for instance, this might be if we're looking in the January sales time and we're looking to put a heavy discount because we know, for instance, there is going to be a brand new iPad coming out, version 37 or whatever we're on at the moment. Hence the reason for the big drop-off. Now, we may also want to have an alternate price too, for where we may have some summer sales or something else. And then finally, we may even want to add an uplift on our price, you know, based on timeframes where we're doing really, really well, and the price itself is speaking in volume. So therefore, we don't want to down the price, we want to uplift the price. But there are other ways to uplift the prices as well within the solution that I can show you in a second. So we've got our price schedule adjustment right here. So this is working to, at the top, just to make you aware, we've got our point of view tab, which is always going to change on every different tab we click into, based on what areas we want to slice and dice against. So our sales price schedule adjustment is based off of our forecast. The subsidiary that we're working in today is the United States, because most of our data is sitting in the US base, as we do work predominantly with our US counterparts, and therefore the currency will be in USD. All of this obviously will be translated to GBP or to euros, whatever your organization may work in. We do have multi-currency, multi-language, multi-country. So if you do need any of these changing, this will be quite easily on the setup. Okay, so as you can see here, we've got all of our products based down the side. We are setting our price ranges for each of these products. So for instance, we can click on the side here, and we've got our manual base. We've got the baseline price, alternate 1, alternate 2, alternate 3. So we can click on any of those and add the variable adjustment percentage on top. Now these are obviously the units that we're selling. So we're expecting to sell 770 units of this Asus curved monitor across all of our customers on a monthly basis. So therefore we've added a 10% increase. We're also able to change these increases if we so choose. So for instance, we can push 5% here, for instance, on our baseline price for this Dell monitor. The moment we click away, you'll notice that the color has changed. The color has changed because if we were to click on any other tab right now, it would ask us if we want to discard this change to the numbers or whether we want to save them. So if we save, we just save right here, and we'll notice that there's going to be an increase on this 16.49 to, was it 1,731 units. Okay. Go into our price on customer adjustment. So this is based on specific relationships that we have. So whether that be Boots or a range of other customers that we have. We may work with Baxify, Chatpoint, or so on. We've got in here, we've got our total relationship, total customer, mid-market, enterprise, and SMB. So if we're working with a range of different areas, industries, you might be selling into Amazon or eBay, you might be selling into all different types of organizations. You're able to put these down. Or for instance, if you're just working across a range of customers, they may be put in a different way. Okay, so as you can see here, we're doing the exact same type of adjustment, but we're just working on specifically what this will be for a specific customer. So as you can see, we're selling the alternate price range, baseline, manual, and so on. Right, so if we scroll down one. So key difference here is we're doing the sales units by customer or channel. So channel being, again, the way that you sell to your customers. Again, USD, United States USD, and the specific relationship with the customer that we're working with. Now, one big differentiator here as we're doing the units rather than the actual monetary value of each individual product is you'll see the number of units that we're selling. We can see that we have different forecasting methods as well. So rather than the previous way on the baseline prices, we've got a 3-month rolling, 6-month rolling, 9, 12, prior year actuals or manual, all of which we can add, increase, or change our variable adjustment to. So if I wanted to change this from 10 to 15%, quite easily do so and push the save button. Now we haven't seen the 171 change because the month of January to August are our actuals, which is why the cells are grayed out, whereas we can see that we can quite easily do a manual change here if we so wanted to on these figures. So this is our sales units by customer. We can also change the way we slice and dice the data and look at the item on top and all of our customers down the bottom. And for instance, if we don't want to manually go into each one of these one by one, we can also go into the pencil tool. Pencil tool allows us to change multiple things at the same time. So we can, for instance, change to our iPad Pro, United States to UK, USD to GBP, and so on and so forth. And quite quickly you can see that the numbers have changed based on the type of product we're selling to each different customer based on their site. We can also change the type of customers that we're reviewing against as well, or forecasting against, from enterprise to mid-market if we so choose, or SMB. We've got our top level adjustments right here. So this is a much more consolidated view of all of the numbers that we're projecting against, but we can expand across all of them against our total customers and total inventory. So if we just want to keep it consolidated against our total customer, we can keep that locked. We can see exactly that we've got all of these numbers here against each of our products, and these are again consolidated because we're only looking at the total item. But if we expand to look against the total customer, we can see the expanded version. And we can open obviously all of these as well to review the numbers against each individual customer. Okay, scrolling down, we've got our sales reports right here. So these are our other dashboards, again, very intuitive and visually stimulating. You can expand against all of them. The one above you could see was also expandable as well. But for instance, this is a 2-year forecast. Again, January to August are our actuals. From September to December is the rest of the year that we're forecasting against, and then 1 full year ahead. Now again, we can go even further than that. If you have a 5-year plan, we can set that up. You can arrange, as these dashboards are arranged by drag and drop editors, you can change the time frame that you're reviewing against it. You can set one of these dashboards to 1 year, one of them to 2 years, one of them to 5 years, if that's how you want to plan against. If you want a 5-year plan, that's quite easily set up as well. And the good thing about these dashboards as well is, very similarly to the way that we're slicing and dicing within the numbers earlier on, we're also able to drill into the numbers here. So we can see that all of this is quite dynamic. We can also hover over them and gather the numbers, but also one of the, I think one of the really good thing about our dashboards are the fact that we can go into our settings tab and quite quickly change the way that we're reviewing the data. So if maybe a line graph just isn't quite cutting it for you, we can change it to a bar graph. Within a matter of seconds, it's all completely changed. I think this stands out a little bit more whilst we're looking at a month-by-month scale. And obviously we can hover over them and see how our numbers are doing against our individual customers. And again, we can do this on all of them. It just depends on how you want to review the numbers. We also have another sales dashboard on the side as well. So sales KPIs by item, by customer trends. You can create as many of these tabs as you like, as you probably saw within the previous what if scenarios were completely full from front to bottom. So again, as you're creating these dashboards, you can create as many tabs for as many different dashboards as you want. You can have dashboards in different areas for different sides of things. So you can have a dashboard in your P&L report. You can have dashboards against your variances. It's just specifically what you want to see and how you want to work. And then we have our sales units for demand planning as well. So we can create some demand around this. Unfortunately, I don't actually have any data set up in this tab, but just thought I'd give you a quick view of what the demand side of things would look like using predictive analysis. If there were data in here, you'd be able to see the seasonality moments. You could be able to create much more independent reviews on this, and you also, again, there's visualization on top of that, so you'd be able to create the dashboards to go on top. Unfortunately, as mentioned, I don't have any data set up in this this tab at the moment, but wanted to give you a quick view of how this may look for your organization. Okay, I'm going to jump back into my home screen. Now, let's go into our financials. So here you can see we have our income statement, or in the UK as we call it, a P&L, balance sheet and cash flow. So this is all the data that's coming from your Microsoft GP platform. It will be able to gather the information and populate based off of all of your different GL codes, which you can see on the side: revenue, revenue services, products, and so on. And then obviously down the bottom, what we want to see is our overall net income. And again, we do have dashboards to suit your needs, and they can be put in any area of the system as you see fit or as you like. Now, moving on to our balance sheet. There's a balance sheet view 1. This is a bit more consolidated than what we'd usually see from our balance sheet. I might jump into my other environment in a second. Yeah, give me 2 seconds. I'm going to jump back in here. So you can see we've got a few more bases here as well, a few more different tabs that we can click into. We've already seen our income statement dashboard. What I thought might be of interest as well is NFPB is able to automatically set up your income statement, your balance sheet, and your cash flow into individual setup reports. Dependent on your requirements, we could set this up to automatically send to you or your C-level staff. Alternatively, we can set up reports that are based off of your own management report pack, which may include your P&L, balance sheet, and cash flow, as well as a variety of other things that you are currently including within that management report pack, and allow it to set up like this and automatically send out. The way we would do that is we'd work it off of the type of management reports that you have already. We would upload them from our integration with Microsoft Office directly into NSPB, and then create a structured way that all of the data would be managed into this automated creation of the income statement or the overall management board pack, and have that automatically sent out. You can have that sent out automatically to either yourself or your C-level staff within a weekly basis, monthly basis, quarterly basis, depending on your specific requirements. And it can also be sent out in PDF, HTML, or Excel format. So if there is any other way that you want to have a look at the numbers, it is specifically there and available to you. We do also have a drill report. The drill report will allow you to drill back into your native product, so whether that be NetSuite itself or Microsoft Great Plains, you'll be able to just click against one of these and drill back into the solution itself. Okay, moving forward, let's go back into our balance sheet and see something with a little bit more robustness to it. Here we go. So as you can see within this balance sheet, we've got our group consolidated one here, which is the reason why I jumped into this environment, just to make sure that I'm giving you the full view of the balance sheet. But as you can see here, we've got all of our GL codes aside, cash, checking, payroll, so on and so forth, that we're able to kind of pull all of this information across from the multiple different systems that we have. We have our total liabilities and equity, liabilities and equity and balance sheet at the bottom, which obviously we want to make sure is hitting 0. Against this, we can also have multiple balance sheets. So this will be a very similar layout, but if you wanted to have a different balance sheet, maybe for a different subsidiary, maybe for a different department, depending on how large your organization is, you might want something like this. You might want to be able to create a secondary or third balance sheet just based off of an exercise that you have been tasked to do. But alternatively to that as well, we do have the balance sheet group consolidated report. Now, this is pretty much everything that I'd mentioned earlier. As you can see, the point of view has changed as well. So we've got our scenario at the top, which is our actuals. We change this to our forecast. We've got our or budget even. We've got our year. The data is set in FY18. The January is the period is January, sorry, and the currency should not be the Canadian dollar. Let's go into USD reporting, which is where most of my data is sitting at present. You see this has changed color, so we just push the go button. And yeah, we've got a bit more data in there, but from the US, just based in US. And yeah, finally, we've also got our balance sheet again, similar to what we saw from our P&L report earlier, and it can be reviewed against either PDF, HTML, or Excel format. Now, finally, we have our cash flow report. So as you can see, cash flow is here. Cash flow is based on all of the forecasting deliverables that have gone into the income statement and balance sheet, and balancing them out against each other to see what cash we have coming in and out of the company. So as you can see here, we've got our net change in cash period for period, beginning of period and end of period, as well as all of our other line items here as well. On top of this, we've got our cash flow report, which is on a group consolidated level. This one's already set to USD reporting, so and for instance, if you do have multiple subsidiaries, maybe not in different countries, but if you do have multiple subsidiaries behind you, we would be able to put them up here. So it could just have company A, company B, company C, or again, you can have this set up on a country basis, and then the numbers would come out in the currency that you report against as a whole. So for this specific exercise, it's within USD. I do believe in my personal, we might be able to give a better view of this actually. There we go. So we've got all of the countries, X eliminations, and the group consolidated country here, all set up at the top. So I just wanted to make sure that you're able to see what you'd be able to get from the likes of NSPB from these specific areas. Campbell, just being conscious on time, how was it? Have we got any questions in as of yet?
No, I'm just looking at the chat now. There's nothing that's come in. So if anyone does have anything that they want to ask, then please just use the chat function. But nothing at the moment.
No, that's fine. Absolutely fine. Right, so going back to our home page. So we've gone through the financials, we've gone through our forecast. For any of those interested or do any personnel type planning or workforce planning, as we call it, we've got a workforce module right here that I think would be key for some organizations. As you can see here, we've got our company roster. And again, as mentioned, there is not only an audit trail behind all of this, so if anyone was to make any changes, that's, it would be put into the system, but also there is a hierarchy within this as well. So you as an administrator within the finance department would have access to this. Maybe HR or your C-level staff would also have access to this if you wanted them to. As the administrator, you give access to those like C-level staff if they may only want to see dashboards and visual representations, maybe the income statement, cash flow, and balance sheet, then that's what you could give them access for. But for instance, the head of sales was, if they had access to this solution, you might not want them to have access to the salary of someone in engineering. Even if they were previously in sales, you may not want them to have access to the engineering, operations or administration departments, salaries and pay rates and so on. So again, the hierarchy structure will allow you or the user setup to make sure that no one is looking at what they cannot see, that they shouldn't be seeing. Okay, so going back into the workforce side of things, as you can see, we've got all of this information which can be pulled from the data. It can either be manually uploaded via an Excel spreadsheet if that's what you've got. Obviously, we've got a direct integration with Excel as well as other Microsoft products, so that can be manually uploaded, but quite quickly and easily. Or if you do have a HR system, we can also integrate with those systems also. So from the company roster side of things, we can see that we've got a hire date, termination date, the salary. Again, all of these have little drop downs. So for the job title, we can change exactly what the role is. The salary type, so whether they're salary based or hourly based, what type of salary they have. If they are hourly based, what type of pay rate they're looking at. So this will be their hourly pay rate or monthly pay rate. Whoever this consultant is, I want his monthly pay rate. We've got the debt allocation behind each of the individual employees, overtime, bonuses, raises, if they're applicable to a raise within your organization. Again, as we're looking at this from the US perspective, please look at this from with a pinch of salt. 401k participation would be, your pension plan. Apologies, skipped my mind there. We've got our medical, dental, vision, if that's something that your organization does, and then also the work location. So UK, US, EMEA, depending on where the person is, and then obviously you'd be able to change each of these with the drop down for your company's countries of where they're based and located. You'll also notice that we've got our to be hired here down at the very bottom. And one thing that I did want to point out, which you probably already noticed at the top, we've got Connor Avery here, who was in sales, who has gone to engineering. We can see that he's got was a hire date here and a termination date, but then a rehire date for a different department. Now, we can also review this from a departmental view, which, for instance, your head of sales may only be able to see this one tab if he were to have access to this. Maybe he's a contributor to the budget, so therefore you want him to have access, and he may want to look over his team's view. You'll also notice as well, Connor Avery, his engineering side is not showing up within this sign because we're looking in the sales department, not the engineering department. And we've got our to be hires and when they'll be joining, what type of salaries they're looking at, pay rate, and so on and so forth. We have our active status note here as well. So we can see that Connor started with us right from the beginning. He has been with us all the way up until June. He made a departure in this department in July and active in another department thereafter. If the person hasn't started the organization, he will have zeros behind them. And again, January to August being our actuals, so nothing can be changed here because these these are not forecasts. This is what's already happened in time. But for instance, we do have drop downs here. So for instance, if someone is ill for whatever reason or a different variety of reasons, we've got leave of absence. You can add different types of entries as well. So as well as active or departure, you can have different types of entries here, maybe maternity or paternity leave, and so on. So if you want to add a new hire, for instance, we can go straight to add new hires. We choose the department that we're going to add the new hire into, and then we just add all of their information here, and that's where they'll automatically show up on a departmental or company roster moving forward. In the background, we have our department allocations. So this is the company employee review, but looking at the total department. So we've got how much this person, Connor Avery, is actually costing the organization from a different side of the business. It seems that he had an uplift in salary when he moved to a new department. So therefore, the salary has gone up from July onwards. We can scroll down and look at different members of the company as we're looking at this as a whole. Or we can also look at this from a departmental review also. So this is specifically looking at the sales department. We've got Connor Avery in there up until June, and we've got all of the other employees thereafter. And this is looking at their overall cost to the organization. So we've got the total compensation here and what this person is costing the company per month based on the taxes, the health benefits, the pension plan, the overall salary, bonuses, and so on and so forth. Now we've got company expenses as a whole as well. Let's change this to Connor. Connor's got a little bit more data than Tom does. There we go. It's giving us a very similar view from the sales department as what we were looking at in the departmental department, but we were just looking at company expenses as a whole from just Connor. We can also change this as well, so we can look at the total department. Therefore, I believe this should just show everybody very similarly to what it did before, or Connor just in two different departments. Yeah, so it's giving us the two different departments. Let's change this to total employee. There we go. Very similarly to what we were looking at before, but rather than looking at it on a person-by-person basis, this has consolidated the numbers so that we're looking at total department and total employee across the entire board on a monthly basis and what that's costing the organization at this time. And then we've also got a nice little dashboard set up, company expenses, department employee expenses, department headcount, just to give you that visual representation of the numbers that we looked at previously. And then finally, within the workforce side of things, we have our allocations. So for instance, days in month per month, February being a short month, so there's only 19 working days in there, but we're usually looking at 23, 21 or 22. How many types of payment schedules there are within that month. So for instance, if you have someone that is on an hourly rate rather than a salary rate, but they may be getting paid weekly, bi-weekly rather than monthly, you may be able to change the payment periods based on your company's schedules and assumptions. We have our annual assumptions here, again, US based, so bear in mind that this is like the pension plan, the usual hours per day. It's just setting the assumptions up for exactly what you're looking at from, as your assumptions per company, per employee. So for instance, 401k, what you're contributing towards that pension plan as an organization. Merit month, FICA being the different types of healthcare and so on and so forth. Medicare obviously is healthcare, so FICA is most likely dental or something along those lines. But these would be changed to your subsidiary or your UK classification based on these allocations here. I've got the monthly assumptions as well, so just giving assumptions based on all of the employees, based on the type of different benefits that they are taking, as well as you might be looking at different areas as well. And the location assumptions, so rather than thinking of state by state as what this shows, because obviously each different state has a different tax code in the US, in For instance, in the UK, we have a specific tax rate, whereas if you have teammates in Paris, teammates in Amsterdam, maybe even in Dubai, they may have different assumptions, different types of benefits, and so on and so forth. So this is just giving you a full view of the workforce element, yeah, hopefully that made sense to you all. You can see the differences between the US functionality and your own. Okay, finally what I'm going to get into is our reporting and analytics, which is giving us a scope of all of our variances, and then I'm going to jump into Smart View before I hand over to Colin. So as you can see here, we've got a range of different dynamic dashboards again, key performance indicators for MOM, customer segments year to date, group product year to date, OPEX by department, and so on and so forth. We've got the efficiency and leverage, year-on-year growth. Again, all of these are just different dashboards that can be set up based on what you want to see and what you want to review. Product segment analysis takes a second to load, so bear with me. There we go. Total sales summary, cost of sales summary, gross profit, and we've got all of our product sales revenue detail at the bottom. And then we've got our customer segment analysis. So these are just the dashboards that you can have. They can be set up for you. You can create a lot of them yourselves as well. Scrolling down, we've got another set of dashboards, which income statement, sales, and sales rep volume, which we've already looked at previously, so I won't go back into these ones. But we've got our variances as well. So we've got our variance dashboard here, which isn't showing any data. But for instance, if we go to our actual to forecast current month, you can see here we've got a range of notes and commentary based on the type of organization. Was it based on our actual forecast, actual versus forecast, and so on. Now we can have a range of these, such as the actual to plan current month, actual prior, was it versus prior forecast current month, Y to date, actual and budget current month, and so on. And again, these can be expanded to have a full, was it a full version, basically, was it a full variance on the year, and we can review all of this quite quickly and easily, not only within here, we can make additional amendments and changes. All of the open cells, just as a point that I didn't touch on before, but for instance, all of the open cells that you can see here on the side, we can type in a range of notes, we can right click and we can leave additional comments. Now once you do this, I post this, for instance, you'll see that the administrator posted this on the 15th of this of October at this time, and again, full audit trail, full note on exactly what's been put there. There'll also be that if once anything has been changed in the background. We can also leave attachments, we can lock cells, we can analyze the data. There is so much that you can do within NetSuite planning and budgeting just because it's that powerful a tool. Right, as we're running short on time, I want to make sure that you've got a good scope of Smart View, which is our integration with Microsoft Office products. I've already set it up right here, but just to kind of give you first off point of view, you can see we've got Smart View here at the top, but you'll also notice our Smart View panel, which is going directly into my my account that you've seen today. You'll also notice as well that in the hyperlink it's got Hyperion Planning because we are essentially derived from Hyperion itself, for anyone who has used it in the past, as mentioned earlier. But for instance, this is just an income statement, but we can literally, if the income statement has been changed, if there's been any changes in the background, we can quite quickly just click our income statement and the latest version will automatically upload into Excel via our integration with NSPB on the web interface. Just give it a second.
I'm thinking, Maddie, while you do that, I can take over and we can show my screen, and Colin, I might bring you into comment on your bit about the integration while Maddie just tries to correct this, and we can come back to him at the end.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine.
Excellent. Okay. So hopefully you can see my screen. So, Colin, I've got this slide that you brought up. If you want to go into, you can go into a bit more detail about our integration. That'd be great. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so what we've seen Marty present there is the planning and budgeting tool. You've obviously seen the links to NetSuite being also an Oracle product, but the tool also gives us interfaces into it, which is one of the reasons why we see it as an important budget and planning tool for all of our customers. Although it's cloud-based, we can put data up into the cloud, into that tool from Dynamics GP. So what the slide is showing is that we have a mapping tool that can map our companies, our currencies, our accounts from Dynamics GP up into planning and budgeting in the cloud. So we can see there, just on the drop-down, we've got company name. It enables us to have different companies, different charts of account per company as well. All the different segments, so account segment 1, 2, and 3 are mapped there across to the division, account, and department within PBCS. And we also cater for AA dimensions, analytic accounting, if customers are using that module. Because the planning and budgeting is all based around organizations, companies, currencies, and different types of accounts, we can get that data in up into the cloud to do that. Marty also just briefly touched on a drill down capability in there. So if you want to drill down to be able to see more detail about individual transactions, what we do to facilitate that is using our Nolan Cloud Services portal, which some of you might be aware of with sort of making tax digital and things like that. It's a portal which Nolan's have in the cloud, a robust portal held in Azure actually, which enables us to hold the data there, which means that if you're doing drill downs, we can use that portal to be able to display to your users more information about transactions that you choose to put up there. So it works equally as well if you're an Oracle NetSuite user or if you're a Dynamics GP user wanting to get your data up into the cloud for that planning and budgeting piece. Yeah, like I say, from Nolan's point of view, we see it as an important move forward into planning and budgeting best-of-breed type solutions.
Great. Thank you very much, Colin, for that. Thank you.
That's great, Colin. I've got everything back up and running, so I can share my screen.
No worries, buddy. I'll make you presenter and you can show that piece. Thank you, Colin.
Thank you, Colin. Okay, can everyone see my screen okay?
Yes.
Fantastic. So, as mentioned, here is our direct connection to the web. We have our library of information here. You'll also notice that we've got our point of view tab that we usually see within NetSuite Planning and Budgeting. As a drop-down, we can literally just drag and drop it right to the top so we can work off of this. Now, if we go to ad hoc reports, you'll notice that we've got a full income statement here, but if we wanted to create a quick ad hoc report, it can be quite easily done in a matter of minutes rather than the days or hours that it might take you at present. So let me just show you a really quick version. Let's say we want to stay with the month of July. We can push we can click on July and keep only. After we keep only, you'll notice that we've quite quickly segmented the data. If we were looking at this from the perspective of trying to create perhaps a quick variance report, or maybe a 6x6, but we want to look at, for instance, just total sales. Let's say we're going to keep only on total sales. We can insert a tab, and as you can see here, we've got all of the areas that we can slice and dice against. You can see that we've got total relationship, total department, total item. So maybe if you're doing total department, you want to do a report against your G&E expenses, for instance. But at this point, as we're doing total sales, what I'll do is I'll add our items in. Now I can either drag and drop the item in there. I can go to our member selector and I can choose either specific items or our total items. Or alternatively, once you become more used to the tool, you can simply just type in total item, click away, push refresh, and then you'll see the color change. Once the colors change, you know that the data's already in there. So I can click on total item, for instance, and I can zoom in to next level, all levels, or bottom level. Let's go to all levels at the moment. So we've got our services, our non-inventory items, our inventory items, and so on. So we can see that we've got all of that information there. Now, we can take it a step further. For instance, there isn't a huge amount of data in the forecast, but let's take it a step further, and rather than just looking at the month of July, how about we look at the year-to-date of July? Drag that across, push the refresh button, and you can see automatically all that data is automatically pulled directly in for us. And maybe one step further, we want to look at, rather than the year-to-date, we want to look at the year total. So if I just type in total, push the refresh button, you can see year total shows up, and we've got a full 6x6 report right here that we've made on the fly in the space of 2 minutes, rather than days or weeks that it might take you to copy and paste all of this information in the background, because it's automatically being pulled for you and allows you that dynamic view. So that's our demonstration for today. We have 2 customer success stories here, Uniplaces and Cameo. So a bit about Uniplaces. Jonathan Childers was our champion over at Uniplaces, still is, and just to give you a bit of background, Uniplaces started back in 2011 in Porto, now in 8 countries with more than 140 staff. It's an online marketplace for booking student accommodation and serves more than 250,000 students for further expansion. As a part of the expansion, it needed to be more precise and flexible in their financial planning on day-to-day budgeting, and realized it could no longer be done using spreadsheets alone. So here are a few thoughts from Jonathan. Faster reporting equals quicker decisions. Actuals now make more sense to the stakeholders. They're able to track costs in a more efficient and effective way, so we're able to understand more about our costs. The ability to slice and dice in Excel using SmartView has been incredibly powerful. It's much more secure data, which reduces the risk and provides confidence in the numbers, and it's much easier for me and my team to do our jobs. I think the actuals now making more sense to the stakeholders was one of the key areas here for Jonathan. And then second customer story that we have is from the CFO of Cameo, which is Bertrand David. And his thoughts were, NetSuite planning and budgeting enables us to focus on our retail core business and empower financial analysts and controllers to improve our decision making by acting on the future rather than struggling to analyze the past. So very, very powerful message there, and being able to constantly work with the most up-to-date data that's coming through Microsoft GP or NetSuite for some of those customers, and allowing you to be able to constantly work on the future and not struggling to work on data that's already outdated and old. Okay, so finally we're at the next step stage. This is where anyone can ask any questions. If maybe Campbell, if you want to take everyone off mute, if there are any questions thus far. But alternatively to that, we also have something that I want to show you, which is thank you for attending today's session. And for attending today's session, we've got a little special nugget for you. So the webinar special that we're offering today is a 20% discount. So this is what you would usually see from the platform at $14.90 per month, and the users are usually £72 per user per month. We're dropping this by 20% and giving you the cost of the solution for £1,192 per month and £58 per user per month. This valid is this offer is valid for the next 6-7 weeks up until the end of November. And to claim this, all you have to do is reach out to Campbell or your account manager over at NetSuite and explain to them your interest in NetSuite planning budgeting.
Great, thank you, Maddie. What I'll do is I'll take back control of my screen.
Go for it.
Thank you. No, that's great. Thanks, Maddie. As Maddie was just saying, if you are interested in more information or for taking that offer up, then yeah, please reach out to myself or if you're a GP user, to your GP account manager, which in this case is Angela Barnes, and we'll be more than happy to help. Just a quick word from me. Please do connect with us. We've got a bit of a refresh on our website, so please head over there and have a look. We've got some more information on our blog posts, and we've got some more content up there. So really good read, especially during the current environment and what's going on. It's very topical. Do follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter. We are posting bits on a regular basis. Again, topical information that we think would be of benefit and use to our attendees today. And also, this webinar will be made available on YouTube and other video channels as well. So we'll be sending over the recording of that so you can access that and show it with your watch again or share it with your team members. As Maddie said, do please contact me if if you'd like more information or if you'd like to follow up with the offer that we had. My name is Campbell McLeish. My telephone number is there. My email address is cmcleish@nolanbusinesssolutions.com. But I will be following up with all the attendees after this with a thank you email as well, and a link to the video. But if you have any questions in the meantime, then please do get in touch. So next steps would be, if you do want to go forward with the planning budgeting solution, Maddie, I believe you will probably be our main contact of doing a further demo with them in a bit more detail.
Yeah, that's correct. So the first step would be for us to understand understand how you're currently working. So it'd be a quick discovery call, and then from there we'd arrange a demonstration to show you how the product would fit your industry, your type of organization, and go from there.